So today is our Vienna day. We are currently actually still sailing. We've not reached Vienna just yet, but it is 25 to 8, so they had estimated we'd arrive in Vienna at about 7, so we're a bit late, but hopefully we're not too far off. I haven't been down for breakfast yet, but just wanted to tell you about the plans for today. So at 9 o'clock, if it can still run on time, we disembark, and we've got a panoramic coach tour of Vienna, and then if some people want, they can actually stay on the coach and get taken back to the ship. Everyone else can disembark the coaches and carry on with the guided walking tour, which I'm doing. I've then opted to stay in Vienna for lunch, so hopefully yeah, we'll just get something to eat while we're in Vienna, and then if possible I'd quite like to do the Spanish riding school and the Imperial Apartments. Apparently they're basically across the road from each other, so they're quite Joanna, the cruise director, said it's manageable to do in the free time we have. And then tonight we get back on board and we have dinner, and we also have a string quartet tonight, which sounds lovely. So it will be a very long day. I'm not going to comment after breakfast. I'm sure it will be lovely as always, and so I'll probably see you while we are out in Vienna. So I'm up on the sun deck. This is our view of Vienna so far. Don't know whether you can see anything further up here. Not much, it's all very modern. We got told, well, other than that very nice building there, we got told that so we're on the outskirts of Vienna, so there isn't that much over here. We will soon be departing on the coach tour.
Oh, cute!
What's that?
No. You can try. You can see these are a little grayish. At the top of your blanket, those are the teenagers. That's also why they're a little shorter. Because they're not They just brought them from the farm where they live in Styria. That's in the southern part of Austria. That's where they're big farmers.
So it's been a lovely day in Vienna, just very, very long. I'm very tired now. So we went out this morning at 9 o'clock, we did the panoramic coach tour, we then got off the coach. As I said, there was the option to go off with the coach to come back to the ship, but I did the guided walking tour, which stopped outside of the cathedral. I can't remember what the cathedral is called, St Stephen's. So it left us there. There was the option to meet the guide back there in about an hour, I think it was, to go to the coach to go back to the ship for lunch, but we decided to stay out for lunch, and so I got to try the Wiener Schnitzel, which was great that I got to do that, and it was really lovely, and the fact that I've now had Wiener Schnitzel in Vienna was brilliant. It was absolutely massive though. All three of us ordered it, thinking it was going to be sort of we thought it would be a decent portion. We got 2 big schnitzels each, and then we also got some lingonberry, like almost like jam, which was recommended by the waiter, and that was absolutely delicious as well. It was so good. We then went over to the Spanish riding school. When I was looking at this holiday, it said you could add on an extra to pay to go to the Spanish riding school. So I'd planned to do that close to the time, but then unfortunately I found out that the horses at the Spanish riding school go on holiday for July and the first 2 weeks of August, and so they were actually going to be on holiday while I was here, so I wasn't going to see them, so I didn't book it because I thought I'm not necessarily bothered about seeing the empty stables. So what I booked instead was an excursion to Schönbrunn Palace with a wine tasting added on. I hadn't realised that the palace wasn't actually within the city. Apparently it's like maybe like a 30-minute taxi ride outside of the city. And unfortunately on one of the previous evenings we got told by our cruise director Joanna that quite a few of the added on excursions, not enough people had showed interest, and so they were cancelling all of them except for one, which was the Budapest Parliament building tomorrow, which I haven't actually booked on. So the Spanish riding school was cancelled, the Schönbrunn Palace, there was an apricot tasting in one of the places, I think there was a couple more as well. Yeah, they were all cancelled because not enough people had booked on, unfortunately. However, obviously it worked out. While we were on the walking tour, we were sort of around the side of the Spanish riding school, and this car pulled up with, well, like a van with, basically it was a horse box car with an extra trailer on the back, and 4 Lipizzaner horses came out, and so obviously they were coming back from their holidays, so there were horses actually in the Spanish riding school. So myself, Anne and Sheila, in the free time in the afternoon after we'd had lunch, we went to the Spanish riding school. We got there for about, I want to say 12:30 maybe, to see what tour we could book onto. Unfortunately the 1 and 2 o'clock ones were already booked, but we managed to get onto the 3 o'clock one. So we paid for that. That was €24 for a standard adult ticket. So then we obviously had some time to kill, so we went to a little cafe. I had a Coke and the Sakatort, which I've taken a picture of, which is, it's like chocolate cake with apricot jam, which is a bit of a specialty in Vienna. It was very nice. It was just a bit dry. So, and obviously we'd had this massive Wiener Schnitzel as well, so I didn't quite finish it. Yeah, it was nice. It may have, if we'd been in a better cafe, it may have been better. Our guide said it does normally get served with like whipped cream, which mine didn't come with, so that may have been why it was dry. We then went back to St Stephen's Cathedral, went and looked around inside. Again, that was absolutely stunning. Before then heading back to the Spanish riding school for our tour. You could take photos and videos as you went around. Unfortunately, you weren't allowed to take any within the stables themselves, so I couldn't get any of the horses in the stables. You could in the outside stables, but the horses weren't too keen in sort of raising their heads away from their food while we were outside, so you're at a fair distance from them. So not too many of the horses, but I got to see them, and then you got to see the inside of the Spanish riding school and hear about all the history. Yeah, it was a full hour tour, absolutely brilliant, would highly recommend that if you're ever in Vienna. I then stopped at a quick souvenir shop to get some chocolates for my dad and my brother. I'll take a picture of that and insert it now. It's just sort of like little chocolates with like different pictures of places around Vienna, which is quite nice. Yeah, now we then had to go to, I'm going to butcher the pronunciation of this, the Schwedenplaza, which was where the shuttle bus stop was. So that was about a 15-minute walk. And then shortly after we arrived there, the shuttle bus turned up, so we got to sit on the coach. We sat on the coach for about 10 minutes before it set off back to the ship. So they were doing the shuttle buses every half an hour. So we got the 4:30 shuttle back. Yeah, and then I've just been chilling a bit, trying to cool down. It's been very, very hot today. It's been about 34 degrees. So being out in the sun all day has been quite draining. So tonight there is the chef's dinner, which I've had a look at the menu. So it's a more limited menu. Food sounds a bit fancier. Again, I'm not going to photo. It seems a bit disrespectful within the dining hall in the evening. But I'm sure it will be delicious, and I'll let you know what I had. And then afterwards, obviously, I forgot to mention, we've got the briefing excursion at 6:30 again, as always. So that's for Budapest tomorrow. I think we've got that anyway. It doesn't actually say about an excursion briefing. At 6:30, it's a farewell cocktail with the staff from the ship. So I think maybe actually the briefing excursion is going to be tomorrow morning, because I believe we're not in Budapest until tomorrow afternoon. So at least I've got a bit of a lie-in tomorrow. But anyway, back on track. Farewell cocktail, chef's dinner, and then afterwards we've got a string quartet called Osmo, I believe, and they're going to perform, it says, a classical Viennese classical concert in the lounge. Bar service will be suspended while it's on. So I will try and film at least a bit of that and insert that after this as well. So yeah, a lovely day, hopefully a bit quieter tomorrow, with it only being a half day, which will be quite nice. Yeah, so I will catch you probably at the end of the day to update you on what's happened. It's been a very long day, and I need to now start getting ready for dinner. See you in a bit. So I am back after everything that's happened this evening. So yes, I went up to the lounge for the farewell cocktail. I'm not quite sure why that's held so early because we've got a full day tomorrow and we don't leave until the day after tomorrow. But it was a really nice way to say thank you to all the crew. We saw all the like the nautical crew and like the bar staff, the catering staff, which was really lovely. We then went to the special chef's dinner, which is all served in one sitting, so we had to go down straight at 7 o'clock. It was a fixed menu, so there was sort of a starter, a soup, a fish course. You did have a choice of main course, which was the filet mignon or the wild mushroom, I am forgetting the word, Wellington, that's the word I'm looking for. Wild mushroom Wellington, and then a dessert, and then some pralines at the end. I'll be honest, I was a bit wary of some of the starters because in most of them there was at least one thing that I wasn't sure whether I would like for example the fish course had wasabi, which I'm not a fan of, but actually everything was absolutely delicious. Yeah, the starters were absolutely lovely. Can't fault them. I did choose the wild mushroom Wellington just because I'd had steak last night. If I'd known I was having steak, there was steak on the offer tonight, I probably wouldn't have had it yesterday. But c'est la vie. So I had the wild mushroom Wellington. I'll admit that was quite rich for me, so I didn't quite finish all of the Wellington on that. I also wanted to leave room for the dessert and pralines. The dessert was lovely, really good. Yeah, so I've taken a picture of the menu, so I'll have inserted that while I'm talking. But yeah, it was a really lovely dinner. We then went up to the lounge where there was a string quartet. I think they played 8 different songs. As the main part of the entertainment, they did do an encore after that. The 8th songs, the final one of the main set was the Blue Danube. So yeah, it was really lovely. Classical music isn't 100% my thing, but I can definitely appreciate the talent that went into the performance. They were absolutely spectacular, and it was very relaxing. I was trying not to drift off just because it was so peaceful and lovely. I have come away early. It's actually before 10 o'clock tonight, which is amazing. And we do have a slightly later start tomorrow because Budapest, we don't arrive in Budapest until after lunch, so there are things going on in the morning, but I'll talk about that tomorrow morning. But we do get a bit of a lie-in, which is quite nice. So I will see you tomorrow for our final full day on the Riviera Cruise. So I'll catch you tomorrow. Bye. Good morning. So it has been a very leisurely morning this morning. It's 20 to 12 now. So had a little bit of a lie-in, although I still woke up quite early. Went down to breakfast for 8 o'clock. Had the usual nice breakfast. I did forget to mention, so the last couple of days I've ordered some eggs off the menu. There's like a little menu of certain things that you can actually, instead of being on the buffet, you can order. So I've had boiled eggs, yesterday I had fried eggs, today I just stuck with the buffet. At 10 o'clock we had a compulsory meeting in the lounge, which was the disembarkation meeting, so telling us all about how that will work tomorrow. So actually, because our flight isn't until really late, the Manchester and Birmingham flights don't have to leave the ship until 5:45. So that's when the coach will be picking us up. Because we have such a long wait during the day for our flight, they don't want to keep our luggage on the ship where it will get in the way of like cleaning and things. So they are actually taking our main luggage away from the ship into apparently a secure storage area, and then they'll bring it back to the ship just before we get on the coach, so it is inaccessible for the day, unfortunately. But I don't think I need access to anything necessarily in there. If I need access to anything, I'll just keep it in my over the shoulder bag, which is going to be my carry-on. So So yes, and because we're so late, obviously everyone will have breakfast as normal. The first flight actually leaves the ship at 10:10, which is quite early. And we'll have all day to explore Budapest if we want, but we do have access to the facilities on the ship. So I do plan to try and go to the Great Market Hall. I don't know whether I'll wander around a bit more of Budapest while I'm out and about, but other than that I really plan to probably come back to the ship and just rest until the late evening flight, make the most of the facilities, sit on the sun deck maybe. So yeah. But anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. That is tomorrow's problem. Tomorrow's decisions to be made. They are also providing us with a light lunch and I think an afternoon tea, I think she said. So that will be lovely just to keep us going through the day. But yeah, plans for today, obviously in about 20 minutes, 15 minutes now, I'll be going down to lunch. I have taken a picture of the menu already. Not quite sure what I fancy today, but I'll see when I get there. And then at 2 o'clock we have a panoramic coach tour, which I think is going to drop us off in the Buda region near the castle. We're going to go to Fisherman's Bastion, if I remember that's what it's called. And then there'll be a bit more coach. We're stopping at Hero Square and then coach back to the ship for 5:30 and then dinner tonight. So you will see what we do this afternoon. Yes, and I'll let you know how it goes. Okay, so lunch was absolutely delicious. I had a bit of starters from the salad bar. I went going for a little bit of salad and actually ended up with quite a bit of salad. But anyway, for the main course I went for the, again, butchering pronunciations, Nazi Goreng, I want to say. I actually also can't remember whether that's the proper name because I've not got the menu in front of me. But I think it's like an Asian, I believe it's an Indonesian dish. But it's like fried rice with like it said like a sweet chili sauce. It was quite dry, it just must have been cooked in the sauce and then served afterwards. Yeah, it was really lovely and I'm glad I tried that. Then we were a bit late coming into Budapest, but I went up onto the sun deck. There's a lot of noise going on outside the door. I think that's a lot of the crew going past. But hopefully you can hear me. So yes, I sat up on the sun deck and watched as we came into Budapest, so I got quite a few good clips of us coming into Budapest, which was really nice. We then went on the panoramic coach tour. I think we were supposed to do a bit of the tour, stop, do more tour, but it's very hot today in Budapest. Our guide told us that in Hungary they measured the temperature from the shade, and it was 36 degrees in the shade, so in the sun she said it's probably more like 40 degrees. So we went straight up to the Castle Hill in the coach, she said, before it got any hotter. And so we went up to Fisherman's Bastion, which was spectacular. The views up there are absolutely stunning. We then had a little bit of free time up there, so the lovely aunt took a photo of me, which is a really lovely photo, with the Parliament building behind me from Fisherman's Bastion. I was then very hot, so I went to go get a slushy drink, and then realised that when I'd gone to have my photo taken, so I have some clip, and they're magnetic, so sunglasses that clip to the front of these glasses, so then I don't have to keep changing my glasses. But they were quite expensive because obviously these are my prescription glasses, not the normal ones I wear, but it also then gives me a spare pair of glasses. But anyway, I'd taken the clip front off for the photo, and after I'd got this slushy I suddenly realised I didn't know where to put them. Because I seemed to remember taking them off and going, I'll just put them in my pocket because I'll put them back on after the photo, and then obviously not doing that. The pocket I thought they were in was the same one as my wallet. So then I'm thinking, I've taken my wallet out to pay for this slushy and I must have like knocked my glasses out of my pocket. So I retraced my steps I went back to where we had the photo, there was nothing there. Retraced my steps for how we went to a shop, walked around the shop, they weren't there, gone to the stand where I got the slushy, wasn't there. Panicking, thinking, these are really expensive. Emptying out I carried 2 bags with me, emptied out both bags, nothing there. You're in my other pocket with my phone. I mean, I had checked that pocket, but I'd slipped my hand down the front of my phone and they were on the other side of my phone, right at the bottom of my pocket. Because these shorts have quite deep pockets. So the lovely ladies were helping me look for these glasses and they were in my pocket the entire time. I'm very tired, it is the end of the trip. These things happen. So anyway, we then got back on the coach. We did have a look around some more sites from the coach. Unfortunately, because of the time it got to, it was like 4:30, 5. Traffic was really bad, so a lot of the time we were just stuck in traffic jams. We got to Heroes Square, which we were supposed to get out and take some pictures, but the guide asked whether people wanted to get out and the consensus was no. It was just very, very hot. We did drive all the way around quite slowly, so I did get some clips of Heroes Square. The other thing is that, so up on Fisherman's Bastion, they're setting up for, I think the guide said St. Stephen's Day. So apparently it's like a children's book festival, or a book festival in general, but they focus on children's books. So there were lots of stalls and stages being put up. So again, the clips I've got, there's probably like a lot of construction and things in the background. And at Heroes Square there were loads of tents being erected because apparently there's a boxing match there tomorrow. So yeah, it's a shame that, but it's nice that there's a lot going on in the city. It just doesn't look quite as nice on tourist photos and things, but at the end of the day, it's a living city. But yes, then we've come back to the ship. It's just too hot at this point. As I said earlier, because our flight's so late, we do have a bit of time tomorrow. Again, I don't know how much I'm going to want to do in the heat. I do want to go to the Central Market Hall, which is literally like across the road from where we're docked, so that really won't be too hard to get to in the heat and things. I think probably do that in the morning because the guide said it doesn't have air conditioning, so we don't want to do that in the heat of the day. But yes, anyway, so tonight, obviously we've got dinner again, and we've also got like a Hungarian folklore show, so I'll hopefully try and take some clips of that, and I'll also tell you how dinner was. So I will see you in a little bit. So I've had a lovely evening. So for dinner tonight, I had the foie gras for starters. I like pate, turns out not too keen on foie gras, so that wasn't really for me. But I knew all week that I wanted to have the salmon at some point, so some people probably say it's a bit of a let down for your last meal, but I had the salmon and fries, which was absolutely delicious. Yeah, just my thing. And I then had the ice cream dessert, I think it was called the Bon Voyage Bliss. So it was vanilla and chocolate ice cream with creme de cassis over the top. Yeah, it was really lovely. I've had some Prosecco tonight as well. And then we had the Hungarian folklore show, which was fabulous. There were costume changes. It was just about the right length. Hungarian dancing is very lively, and they had the live music playing and the dancers. Yeah, it was absolutely fabulous. I got quite a few clips. Yeah, it was absolutely fabulous. I've had a wonderful night for the last night. Took some photos with our favourite waiter. I'm probably going to butcher pronouncing his name. I want to say Dilla, Dilla, who has been wonderful all week. Very charming, very sweet. Yeah, just really lovely and so attentive as a waiter. He's been absolutely brilliant. So yeah, tomorrow morning it's going to be an early morning because we have to have vacated our cabins by 9 o'clock. So I'm planning to get up probably about 6, half 6. I haven't decided quite yet. We're going to go for breakfast at 7 o'clock. Breakfast is 7 till 9. but get breakfast out of the way, and then we can finish packing afterwards. Yes, like I said, we then got to be out of the room by 9. The plan is in the morning to go to the, after breakfast, well after 9 o'clock, after we've sorted out our luggage, to go to the central market hall, have a look around there, and maybe just have a quick look down the shopping street as well. Before lunch, they are serving us a light lunch at 12, and then probably just spend the rest of the afternoon on the ship, because at that point it's going to be really hot again. I believe it's not going to be quite as hot as today, but still, it's just so hot to relax on the ship before we head to the airport later in the day. So yeah, we're starting to wrap everything up. I don't know what more there is going to be of this vlog. If nothing else, when I'm home, I'll do like a quick summary of everything, but this could actually be the last clip while I'm actually away. Oh no, I'll video a bit of in the market hall. Yeah, I'll try and do that. So hopefully there will still be something left to come, so just ignore what I've just said, if I've not cut it out of the vlog. Anyway, I'm very tired, so I'll leave it there for tonight. So I will see you tomorrow. Bye. Oh, and I forgot to mention that during the Hungarian folklore show, there's one of the dances where the two girls were balancing these bottles of liquid on their head, which was absolutely amazing. I don't know how they have the balance to maintain that. But then afterwards, they came around and allowed people to balance it on their head, so I got the chance to do that, and the lovely Anne actually videoed me doing that. So I've probably inserted the clip while I've been talking. But yeah, I got the chance to balance the bottle on my head. The bottom is slightly domed to kind of fit on the shape of your head. But yeah, that was really good. I really enjoyed the fact that I got the chance to do that. Good morning. So it's now the next day. It's Saturday the 16th. I'm at the Radisson Blu Hotel at Manchester Airport. So I need to catch you up on basically everything that happened yesterday. So got up, was served breakfast like normal. The breakfast buffet, delicious as always. Myself, Anne and Sheila then decided to go out into Budapest. The night before I'd sorted out my tips. There's 2 different envelopes. There's one for the Riviera staff, and then there's one for the rest of the ship staff, because they're separated out. The ship, Riviera only take cash. The ship you can pay by card if you want, but I had left cash for them. They do take other currencies, so actually I managed to use up some of my forints, and then I sort of did a mix of forints and euros to make up the ship tip. But I did have still some forints left, because there are a few things I wanted to go out and experience. So myself, Anne and Sheila all kind of had the same idea. We all went out. We went first to the central market, which was literally like across the road from where we were moored. It is not air conditioned, so we went early. We went out before 9 o'clock. It's open from 6 in the morning, but there were still some shops that weren't open quite that early, but it got hot very fast in there. The ground floor is mainly food, like fresh food, so like fresh fruit and veg, meat, things like that, but there is a lot of paprika stalls, so if you're looking to get some paprika for a souvenir, that's a good place to go. The upstairs is more souvenirs for tourists. A lot of the stalls quite honestly sell exactly the same things, your typical like magnets and key rings and things like that. They also sell a lot of the sort of Hungarian handmade lace, which is lovely, some porcelain stuff. There was one quite unique stall that was selling loads of amber, and obviously, like I said, I had some forints left over to spend up, so I did get a little moon amber pendant. Whether it's genuine amber or not, I've no idea, but it was cheap enough, so, and like I said, I had that Hungarian forint to use up, because there's no point trying to convert it back. So yes, we wandered around there, got some souvenirs. We then decided to walk up the shopping street, which I'm going to butcher the pronunciation of again. I want to say Vachiutka, maybe? And again, I may even be remembering that wrong now. But again, quite touristy. We didn't actually really stop in and look in any of the shops. We just kind of wandered up and down to see what there was to see. with the exception of we did stop to try chimney cake. It was something that both myself and Anne had said we really wanted to try. There's lots of chimney cake shops around, and we just went to like the main chain one. I think it's literally just called like the chimney cake shop or something. Because I'd bought the pendant, I didn't have quite as many forints left over to use up on the chimney cake, so I just went for the most basic one, which is chimney cake just with Nutella inside. Like you kind of drizzle it round, which was absolutely lovely. For me, it was kind of like a one and done thing. It's not something I'd want to go back and get more of. However, I do recommend if you do try it. So Sheila got the apple strudel one. So it was the chimney cake stuffed with apple with whipped cream on top, which looked amazing, and I think was probably better than myself and Anne's, where we just got the Nutella, because we were just using up the last of our forints. Yeah, the Nutella one got a little bit dry, and it was very messy to eat. But yeah, the shopping street is quite shaded because there's tall buildings on either side. It was a little bit better for walking up and down. But yeah, it was so hot yesterday. I don't precisely know what the temperature is. I think it was saying 36 or 37 in the shade again. From what I can gather, yeah, it was like 39, 40 in the sun. So it was just too hot to be out and seeing more. Unfortunately, I'd love to have gone out and just explore a bit more of Budapest, but some people did that and came back hot, sweaty messes. And then you're travelling later in the day. Obviously, we had to be out of our cabins by 9. I think I explained that they took our main cases away for storage, so there wasn't really a way to freshen up, except for maybe like going into the ship's public bathroom. So yeah, I just didn't want to be doing that. So it would have been probably a better and more productive day if it hadn't been so hot, unfortunately. So other than that, we just stayed on the ship all afternoon. They did provide us with a light lunch. So yeah, just sort of a buffet and then a few hot options in the live cooking stations. I think some people were a little bit annoyed that wine wasn't being served. It was just water that was being served. But at the end of the day, that meal hadn't been included in our package. It was like an added extra they were providing for us. So that was very nice. And then they also did like a little afternoon tea as well. Obviously by that point there was the new people coming onto the ship for the sailing that started that on the Friday that day for another week. So yeah, lots of cakes, a few sandwiches, tea, coffee, which was again they were under no obligation to provide us with anything, so it was really lovely that they were providing that for us. So yes, then at 6:45, so it was a very long wait through the afternoon. 6:45, we got on the coach, and by that point the plane had already been delayed. But anyway, we got to the airport. We were all very well looked after by Riviera. They guided us from the coach through to check-in, and they made sure that people who needed assistance got the assistance. So yeah, fairly straightforward check-in. I got asked whether I was okay sitting in an emergency exit aisle. Yeah, no problems for me. Security was really quick. I went straight through there. Through on the other side, there's like a food court in the middle of terminals 2A and 2B. So I got a drink from W.H. Smith. Later on in the evening, I got some KFC, which their chicken strips are slightly spicier than the UK ones, but that was lovely. Eventually we got our gate, went through to the gate. By that point we were an hour and 10 minutes delayed. So I think originally we were, through the day it kept getting more and more delayed. By the time our gate was called we were an hour and 35 minutes delayed. So yeah, we got called through to the gate, and then we were sat around for ages, and then all of a sudden there was like a stampede because they were scanning passports and letting people through this gate. And I think everyone was just so tired that everyone just stampeded it. But actually all that had happened was you were let through to this separate gate area that was kind of walled in with glass panels. And and it was just like another waiting area. I think it was the fact that they were checking everyone's passport and boarding pass so that when they could board, they didn't then have to do that as an additional step. Then they opened the doors, and again everyone stampeded down to get on the plane. There was no like calling by seat numbers or rows or anything like that. Everyone just stampeded, and then we just stood on this sort of I don't even know what it's called. The sort of words are not happening this morning. The ramp that you can attach you to the plane. This like the tunnel. But we weren't actually going through a tunnel. It wasn't attached to the plane. It was going downstairs, and then you had to get more stairs up onto the plane. So we just stood there for ages because they weren't actually letting people on the plane yet. So why they'd opened it so early, I do not know. But it was chaos at the gate. I think everyone was just so tired. But Jet2 weren't helping it organisationally. We did eventually obviously get that on the plane. The pilot did make up a bit of time in the air. We were late because our delayed time ended up being 11:15. I think it was about 11:05 by the time we actually set off. But we did make up a little bit of time in the air. I think we landed about 12:30. We were supposed to land at 11:05. But yeah, passport control was actually really quick because of how late we were coming in. And then by the time we got through, bags were already going around the carousel. Mine was fairly off fairly quick. So then I just came straight over to the Radisson Blu. I had warned them on the way here. I'm not sure whether I mentioned that I was going to be coming in on a late flight and that it seemed likely it was going to be delayed. The door was locked when I arrived, but there was like a doorbell at the front. So yeah, someone came really quickly to let me in, and then because it was after midnight, my card had already been charged, because I think they kind of assume you're a no-show, and so the charge just goes through automatically because you haven't cancelled. So yeah, they just issued me with my room key. I came straight up, but by the time obviously then dug all my stuff out of my hand luggage for the evening and got ready for bed, it was 1:30 by the time I was actually in bed. So yeah, it was a very long day, and then this morning I woke up at about 7 UK time. So it's a little bit of a lie considering I'm used to kind of getting up at 6:30 holiday time, which is an hour ahead. But I'm absolutely exhausted now. It's 8:25. So very shortly I am going to go catch the train. I probably will do like a little summary of how I found the holiday once I'm back home, probably tomorrow, when I'm hopefully feeling a little bit more alive. I might try and find a Red Bull on the way to the station. But anyway, I've been rambling on for over 10 minutes now, so yesterday wasn't ideal. It wasn't the best way to end the holiday. Obviously there's nothing Riviera can do about that. That was it's the times of the flights. Yeah, Jet2 wasn't the best experience, I will have to say. The flight was very smooth. Can't fault the flight staff and things. It's more the organisation at the airport and the fact that, because I've been tracking these flights, they always seem to be delayed. But I mean, I don't know what they can do about it. Whether they need to put like different planes on for the Budapest flights, I don't know. But I'm not obviously within Jet2 to sort out organisation. But it is a bit infuriating when it's like a constant thing that's happening and they don't seem to have done anything to change it, or even to forewarn passengers, like changing the flight times. But hey ho. Anyway, hopefully my debrief tomorrow or whenever I do it will be a bit more positive. I'm just very tired this morning, so I will stop rambling. I will see you whenever I next film that clip. Okay, I'm just hopping on and do a really quick wrap up. I have rambled on enough in this vlog. So overall, I absolutely loved my experience with Riviera. Yeah, absolute 5-star service. The only things I could say about the holiday that were negative, obviously the last day and the Jet2 experience, which I've talked about enough and were nothing to do with Riviera. The only other thing, so the travel documentation wasn't particularly clear in certain things. And in fact, at one point in the travel documentation, it said one thing in one area and then it completely contradicted itself in another area, and I actually had to phone up for clarification. So the travel documentation could be improved, particularly like you having to print off your own luggage labels, and some people had to take sellotape to fix it to the bags at the airport. Yeah, it's part of the green initiative that Riviera are doing, but that bit might need to be thought about again. Yeah, the only other thing I can say, the excursion I had to Schönbrunn Palace that was cancelled, and we were told on the ship it would be automatically refunded. About a week after I came back, my friend Anne messaged me to say that she'd phoned up to ask when we would be getting that money back through, and from what she said, they didn't seem to be aware that it had been cancelled. So I phoned up to ask about the Schönbrunn Palace, and again, they didn't seem 100% sure that it had been cancelled, but they said they were sending it through to the refunds department now. So I don't quite know what happened there, whether it would have maybe happened eventually, but yeah, the central office did not seem to be aware that those excursions had been cancelled, and I still haven't got the money back through for that yet. So it's like almost 2 weeks since we've been back now. So it wasn't cheap. It was a £90 excursion because it was the palace and also the transportation and the wine tasting. So I'm hoping I get that back through soon, but we'll see. But other than those few negative things, which are kind of insignificant in the grand scheme of things, and like for example the refund is being taken care of, yeah, absolutely 5-star holiday. The ship, the service, food, the excursions, everything completely 5-star. I would absolutely recommend it. I don't think the age range matters that much. Personally for me it wasn't an issue. That I was with people who were quite a bit older than me. I would recommend doing it. If you're looking for a solo holiday, I don't think it matters your age at all, yeah. Would I do another one? Probably not, at least not anytime soon. But that's more to do with the fact that I work in a school. I've got to line up holidays with the school holidays. And unfortunately, a lot of the locations that I'd like to visit the Riviera do offer tours and holidays too. They don't fall within school holidays. So no fault of Riviera, it's just how things line up with me. So I think it's reignited my love for wanting to travel. So I am looking at maybe going by myself, maybe to doing like city breaks within like walkable cities or cities with good public transportation, so I can just see things at my own pace and do what I want. But it's definitely confirmed that yeah, I do want to go out, want to see more of the world. I just need to make sure that I can do it in a safe way. So anyway, I do these vlogs mainly for my own memories, but also so my friends and family can see, but if they help anyone else along the way, that's absolutely brilliant. So if you've got this far, or if you've watched any parts of them, thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe down below. It does help other people find the video, so it can help more people as well. Yes, thank you again, and I will hopefully see you back sometime next year for some more travel vlogs. Bye.